Ethan, a dedicated and meticulous janitor, was finishing yet another long and exhausting day of work at the large company where he had been employed for years. His shift had started early as usual, and he took care of every detail with great care. The shine on the corridor floors, the spotless windows, and the empty trash cans were silent witnesses to his commitment. Ethan knew that his work was essential to the functioning of the company, even though it was rarely recognized. Ethan arrived at the company every day with a sense of apprehension. He had seen many colleagues humiliated by Robert, the authoritarian and cruel boss. Robert was known for his inflexible stance and for treating his subordinates with disdain, always ready to criticize and punish. Ethan vividly remembered an incident with his colleague Tomas. It was an ordinary afternoon, and Tomas was finishing cleaning the main lobby when Robert appeared. "Tomas, this is disgraceful. You call this cleaning?" Robert shouted, pointing at a small stain on the floor. Tomas, visibly nervous, tried to explain. "Sir, I just cleaned here. It might have been someone who passed by afterward." "I don't want to hear excuses," Robert interrupted, raising his voice so everyone on the floor could hear. "You are useless. You can't even do a simple job like cleaning a floor." Ethan, watching from a distance, felt a wave of fear and indignation. He knew he needed that job to support his family. His wife, Clara, was unemployed, and they had 2 young children to take care of. Each day at work was a constant struggle to keep the family afloat and secure a better future for his children. Every morning, Ethan left home with a knot in his stomach, thinking about the bills to pay and his family's needs. He strived to do his job perfectly, but the shadow of humiliation and dismissal loomed constantly over him. Working under Robert's supervision was like walking through a minefield. Any misstep could be fatal. Night was falling as Ethan cleaned the last office on the floor. He was focused on his work when he heard firm footsteps approaching. Robert, the authoritarian and arrogant boss, entered the room with a look of disdain. Robert was known for his inflexible stance and for treating his subordinates with little consideration. He had the power to elevate or destroy careers, and this gave him an almost sadistic pleasure. "Ethan, come here," Robert ordered, his voice cutting through the silence of the room like a knife. Ethan, surprised, dropped the broom and cautiously approached. "Yes, sir, how can I help?" he replied humbly. "Do you see this?" Robert pointed to a corner of the office where there was a small, almost imperceptible stain on the floor. "This is unacceptable. How can you be so incompetent?" Ethan tried to explain. "Sir, I was just finishing cleaning right now. This stain might have been caused by someone who came in after I passed by." "I don't want to hear excuses," Robert interrupted brusquely, raising his voice so everyone on the floor could hear. "You are useless. You can't even do a simple job like cleaning a floor." Ethan's eyes filled with tears, but he tried to maintain his composure. "Sir, please, I work very hard. This won't happen again." "You are fired, Ethan," Robert proclaimed with a cruel smile. "Go to HR right now and collect your things. We don't need people like you here." Ethan felt a lump in his throat. He couldn't believe what was happening. He felt devastated and powerless. With heavy steps and a downcast gaze, he headed to the Human Resources office. There, he was formally informed of his dismissal. His hands trembled as he signed the final documents, and his heart ached with the injustice of the situation. As he left the company, Ethan carried his few belongings in a cardboard box. His mind was flooded with the public humiliation and uncertainty about the future. Each step he took felt heavier than the last, and the tears finally streamed down his face. He wondered how someone could be so cruel and insensitive. Meanwhile, Robert felt victorious. He believed he had demonstrated his power and maintained order in the company. To him, Ethan was just another obstacle removed from his path. Little did he know that destiny had different plans and that the universe, from time to time, likes to balance the scales of justice. That night, as he walked home, Ethan reflected on his future. He remembered his father, a janitor who always said, "What we do defines us." This teaching guided him every day. He decided to use the humiliation of that day as motivation to never be treated that way again. Ethan enrolled in night classes and began studying administration and entrepreneurship, using his savings to pay for the lessons. 5 years had passed since that fateful day when Ethan was humiliated and fired by Robert. During this time, Robert's life had taken an unexpected turn. The arrogant boss began to face a series of difficulties at his job. Failed projects, poor decisions, and an authoritarian management style led him to lose the trust of his superiors. Eventually, the day came when Robert was fired. Desperate and anxious, Robert knew he needed to find a new opportunity. He spent days reviewing his resume and drafting a cover letter that conveyed his experience and skills, hoping to secure a new position. During one of his frantic job searches, he came across a company that was gaining prominence in the market, known for its innovative and promising environment. This could be my chance to start over, Robert thought as he clicked the send button, submitting his resume and cover letter to the new company. While waiting anxiously for a response, Robert couldn't contain his anxiety. He knew this was probably one of the few opportunities left to recover his career and redeem his professional reputation. Meanwhile, the new company continued to attract the attention of many professionals in the sector. With an innovative approach and a collaborative work environment, it was the dream of many to work there. Finally, Robert's phone rang. On the other end of the line, a professional and friendly voice informed him that he had been selected for an interview. He felt a wave of relief and excitement. "Thank you. Thank you so much. When can I come in?" he asked, trying to hide the anxiety in his voice. The voice on the other side calmly replied, "The interview will be next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Be prepared." On the scheduled day, Robert donned his best suit, eager to make a good impression. When he arrived at the new company, he was impressed by the modernity and vibrancy of the environment. He was soon greeted by a smiling receptionist who guided him to a comfortable waiting room, tastefully decorated. Robert observed the other candidates, all equally anxious for the opportunity to work there. "Are you here for the interview too?" Robert asked one of the candidates, trying to break the ice. "Yes, and you? Are you nervous?" The young man replied with a nervous smile. "A little," Robert admitted. "But I guess we all are, right?" The wait seemed endless, but finally, Robert was called into the interview room. Upon entering, he was greeted by a panel of interviewers who welcomed him cordially. During the interview, Robert realized that the company's culture was entirely different from anything he had known. The focus was on respect, collaboration, and valuing each team member. "So, Robert, tell us about a situation where you had to lead a team under pressure," asked one of the interviewers. Robert took a deep breath and began recounting a past experience, trying to demonstrate his leadership and problem-solving skills. After the initial interview, Robert was informed that he would advance to the next stage of the selection process, which would take place the following day. This news brought a mix of relief and tension, as he knew the next stage would be even more challenging. Spending the night sleepless, Robert reflected on his past actions, especially the episode with Ethan. He knew he needed this new opportunity more than ever, but he also recognized that his previous behavior might haunt him somehow. The next morning, Robert arrived at the company once again, trying to maintain his confidence. He was directed to a large room where the group dynamics would take place. He noticed the presence of other candidates, all equally determined and anxious. The coordinator of the dynamics, a woman with a friendly demeanor named Laura, began the activity, explaining that the focus would be on leadership and teamwork skills. "Good morning, everyone. Today we want to observe how you work in groups and handle challenging situations. The proposal is for you to solve a fictional problem together that we simulated. Remember, what we value here is collaboration and mutual respect," said Laura with an encouraging smile. The dynamics began, and Robert did his best to demonstrate his skills. He listened attentively to others' opinions, suggested solutions, and tried to stand out without appearing arrogant. At one point, a candidate named Sarah had a brilliant idea but hesitated to share it fully. "Sarah, your idea seems promising. Why don't you tell us more about it?" Robert encouraged, trying to create a welcoming environment. Sarah, more confident, explained her point of view in detail, leading the group to an efficient conclusion to the proposed problem. Robert's interaction was well received by Laura, who was attentively noting observations about each candidate. After the group dynamic, the candidates were instructed to wait while the selection committee deliberated. Minutes that felt like hours passed until Laura returned to the room with a neutral expression. We would like to thank everyone for their effort and dedication. We will call the selected candidates for a final individual interview. Please wait for your names to be called, she announced. Robert's heart was racing as the names were called one by one. When he finally heard his name, he felt a mix of relief and nervousness. He was led to a more secluded meeting room with a large dark wooden table and comfortable chairs. The environment was welcoming, but the tension in the air was palpable. Laura opened the door for Robert and before leaving said, "The owner of the company will be with you shortly. Good luck." Robert nodded, thanking her, and settled into the chair while he waited. The door opened again, and to his surprise, it was Ethan who walked in. Ethan was dressed elegantly, with a confidence Robert had never noticed before. He walked calmly to the table and sat across from Robert, maintaining a steady and serene gaze. "Hello, Robert. It seems life has brought us back to the same place, in a rather ironic way, hasn't it?" Ethan said, with a slight smile on his lips. Robert felt a lump in his throat but tried to maintain his composure. I don't know what to say. I'm surprised to see you here." "I imagine you are," Ethan replied without breaking eye contact. "But today we're not here to talk about the past, but about the future. Shall we begin?" Ethan started the interview in a professional manner, asking about Robert's experiences, his skills, and how he could contribute to the company. Despite his nervousness, Robert responded as best he could, trying to show his value and his genuine desire for a second chance. "Ethan, I know I made mistakes in the past. I deeply regret the way I treated you. If I could go back, I would do everything differently," Robert confessed, his voice tinged with remorse. Ethan maintained his serene expression, but his eyes revealed a mixture of emotions. "We all make mistakes, Robert. What's important is what we learn from them. Now let's continue with the interview." The conversation proceeded, with Ethan keeping a professional and objective tone, while Robert did his best to show his good side. At the end of the interview, both knew the decision would not be easy. Ethan stood up and extended his hand to Robert. "Thank you for your time, Robert. We will contact you soon with a final decision." Robert shook Ethan's hand, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. "Thank you, Ethan. I appreciate the opportunity." As Robert left the room, he knew that the interview was not just about getting a job, but about a chance for redemption and rebuilding his life based on respect and humility. Robert was at home, reviewing his resume once more, when the phone rang. He answered quickly, anxiously hoping for an opportunity. "Hello, this is Robert speaking." "Hello, Robert, this is Sarah. I'm calling to inform you that, at Mr. Ethan's request, we have a position available and would like you to come to the company to discuss the details." Robert felt a wave of relief and excitement. "Of course, Sarah. When should I come in? Can you come tomorrow at 10 a.m.? We'll explain more about the position and discuss how you can contribute to our team." "Perfect. I'll be there. Thank you so much, Sarah." "Great, Robert. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day." Robert hung up the phone, feeling his heart race. Finally, a chance to start over. He knew he had to make this opportunity count. On the scheduled day and time, Robert was sitting in the HR waiting room, his sweaty hands holding the application form. The door opened and Sarah, the HR manager, appeared accompanied by a man in a suit. "Good morning, Robert," she said with a professional smile. "Please come in." He entered the room with cautious steps, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. "Good morning," he replied, trying to stay calm. Sarah gestured for him to sit. "Robert, we have reviewed your resume and are willing to offer you an opportunity." Robert felt a wave of relief, but it was short-lived. "However," Sarah continued, "given your experience and the need for a fresh start, We believe the best position for you would be as a janitor." Robert was surprised. He had hoped for a position more aligned with his previous experience, but quickly understood that this was a chance to prove his change. "I understand. I accept the position," he said, trying to disguise his apprehension. He knew this was his chance to show he had changed. Sarah smiled, satisfied. "I'm glad to hear that, Robert. We'll start your training tomorrow. Welcome to the team." In the following days, Robert began his new job. Dressed in the janitor's uniform, he cleaned the corridors and rooms with renewed determination. Every task, no matter how mundane, was an opportunity to reflect on his life. As he swept the floor, he thought, how arrogant I was. I never imagined how important and challenging this job really is. He remembered how he treated his subordinates, especially Ethan, with disdain. Now he was in their place. One night, while cleaning one of the meeting rooms, he found Ethan working late. Ethan looked up from his papers and smiled. "How's it going, Robert?" Robert hesitated, feeling a twinge of shame, but replied sincerely, "I'm learning a lot, Ethan. I never imagined how much this job required dedication and attention to detail." Ethan nodded. Sometimes we need to start over to truly understand the value of things. Robert felt the weight of these words and continued his work with a new perspective. Every window he cleaned, every floor he swept, he did with a care he never imagined was necessary. And each day he felt his old arrogance being replaced by a new sense of respect and humility. Every day as a janitor was a lesson in humility for Robert. He began to observe the dynamics of the employees and understand the value of collaboration and respect. He tried to interact with colleagues in a more respectful and open manner, something he didn't do before. One afternoon, while cleaning one of the windows, he overheard two employees talking. "This new janitor is different," one of them said. "He really cares about what he does." Robert smiled to himself, feeling a pang of pride. "I'm on the right track," he thought. Once he met Ethan again, this time in the company cafeteria. They sat together for a coffee. "You know, Robert," Ethan began, "I see changes in you. It's not easy to start over, especially in a position you used to despise." Robert looked at his coffee, feeling a lump in his throat. "I regret many things, Ethan. Working as a janitor has shown me the value of hard work and respect. I hope one day I can make up for my mistakes." Ethan placed a hand on Robert's shoulder. "You're on the right path. Keep it up." Robert left the cafeteria feeling lighter. He knew he still had a long way to go, but he was willing to face each challenge with humility and dedication. Each day was a new opportunity to redeem himself and show that he had changed. As the months passed, Robert continued to work diligently. Each day was a new opportunity to reflect on his past actions and redeem himself. He remembered every employee he mistreated and used these memories as fuel to be better. One night, while cleaning the bathrooms, he thought about how he humiliated Ethan. I was terrible. How could I have been so blind? Ethan's words echoed in his mind, reminding him of the importance of humility and respect. He began to realize that respect was a two-way street. Before, he saw his subordinates as mere pawns, but now, he saw them as individuals worthy of respect and appreciation. This change in perspective was difficult but extremely necessary. Months turned into years, and Robert's consistent hard work did not go unnoticed. His dedication and humility began to make a positive impact on those around him. The employees who once saw him as the embodiment of arrogance started to see him as a source of inspiration and proof that people could change for the better. Eventually, Robert was given more responsibilities. His journey from an arrogant boss to a humble janitor was a testament to his transformation. He was not only accepted but respected and admired by his colleagues. Ethan, recognizing Robert's sincere efforts and change, decided to promote him to a supervisory role within the janitorial staff. "You've shown incredible growth, Robert. You deserve this opportunity," Ethan said during the promotion meeting. Robert, humbled and grateful, thanked Ethan. "I can't thank you enough for this chance, Ethan. I'll continue to do my best and prove that your trust in me is well placed." In his new role, Robert continued to lead by example, always remembering the lessons he had learned. His journey was far from over, but he faced the future with renewed hope and a deep sense of purpose. He had found redemption not just in his career, but in his heart. As he walked down the hallway, he reflected on the past months of hard work and how he had strived to change. Upon reaching Ethan's office door, he took a deep breath before knocking. "Come in," said Ethan from the other side. Robert opened the door and stepped into the room. Ethan was sitting at his desk with a welcoming smile. Sarah was by his side, looking encouraging. "Please have a seat, Robert," said Ethan, indicating the chair in front of his desk. Robert sat down, feeling the tension in the air. Ethan began to speak. "Robert, we've been observing your progress since you started here as a janitor. Your dedication, humility, and leadership skills have not gone unnoticed." Robert felt his heart race. He braced himself for any news, good or bad. "Thank you, Ethan. I've been striving to be the best I can," he replied, trying to control the emotion in his voice. Ethan smiled and continued. "The recent results have been exceptional, and this is largely due to your work and that of your team. You have shown a true ability to lead with empathy and respect. It is with great pleasure that we are promoting you to operations manager." Robert was speechless for a moment, absorbing the words. I don't know what to say. "Thank you, Ethan. This means a lot to me," he managed to respond, feeling tears beginning to form. Sarah, who had been watching silently, added, "You deserve this, Robert. Your hard work and positive attitude have been inspiring to all of us." Ethan stood up and extended his hand. "Congratulations, Robert. I'm sure you will continue to do an excellent job." Robert stood up and shook Ethan's hand, followed by a handshake from Sarah. "I promise I won't let you down," he said, his voice firm but emotional. As he left the office, Robert felt a sense of renewal and purpose. He knew that this promotion was more than just a recognition of his work. It was a confirmation of his personal and professional transformation. He was ready to take on his new role with the same determination and humility that had brought him this far. Walking down the hallway, colleagues approached to congratulate him. "You deserve this, Robert. I'm so happy for you." Robert smiled, shaking Miguel's hand. "Thank you, Miguel. This means a lot to me. I couldn't have done it without the support of all of you." He knew he still had a lot to learn and many challenges to face, but he was ready. The journey of redemption that began as a simple janitor was now leading him to a leadership role, where he could inspire and support his team, continuing the transformation that had begun months ago.